Hi, this is Jowie Malovhele, your transformational coach. Soul Anchor welcomes you to our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to our channel and like our channel and share the beautiful videos, the beautiful stories, transformational stories. I want to continue where I left off. Patterns of my brokenness, a daily struggle. I love vulnerability. I love honesty, because you know what? In that vulnerability and honesty, the authentic you, the authentic me just rises. It's like that beautiful, beautiful aroma that fills the place. Oftentimes, people, some people struggle with vulnerability. I have learned that in my own vulnerabilities, a lot of people will get help. A lot of people will transcend. As much as I am a born-again child of God, and I'm also an ordained pastor, I choose to tell stories. Because you know what? Some of these stories are not told at church. Mostly at church, we preach to the mind, thoughts than the heart. We go home, our feelings and emotions are bandaged, but by what we hold on to, the little that we still have that we learned at church. Then imagine after a week, when you left with a little bit, then what happens? Then the feelings scream louder, and sometimes we struggle to override the feelings, because whatever is here has faded with time. Now, my brokenness, I told you about perfectionism. Then, you know what? There was this thing that I knew about me. And it's that thing that I learned to defend and justify. I couldn't celebrate my success, my achievements, because it was a done deal, I thought. I thought if I become comfortable and celebrate, I will forget the next project that needs to be done. Then, when the first one was done, I was ready to move to the second one. I used not to celebrate, and for me, it was normal. My husband, my children kept asking me. Ever since I got married to my husband, I've never celebrated a birthday. Kept asking myself, why? Graduations, I had to be dragged, screaming and kicking to attend a graduation ceremony because it meant nothing to me. What mattered to me was the statement of results. The day I got my results, it was a ball. I was done and I was ready to move on. So many times, my husband wanted us to celebrate our wedding anniversary. And each time, I kept saying to him, hey, let's rather go to some place than to invite people, sit, celebrate, make sense to me. And as a result, we've never celebrated any of our wedding anniversary. We've been married now 27 years almost, but I've never celebrated, because he can't celebrate alone. He celebrates with me. But I didn't know how to celebrate, because I was always moving forward. I was always moving forward, because what happens with perfectionism, you practice, and each time you forever perfecting, because it's never good enough. You always striving for good enough. That's how things looked like for me. What I also did when our kids were younger, we celebrated their birthdays. 4 generations. What I caught, I introduced. What mattered to me, I made it matter to my sons. I then asked them when they're in primary school, but then I didn't give them a choice. I asked a leading question, which my husband likes saying, it's controlling. I asked my sons, guys, it's your birthday. Do you want us to throw you a party, or do you want us to give you the money that we could have used for the party? As if it's not enough, I went ahead and started unpacking the value of that money to them, to say, you know what, you can call people and have everybody around. They'll come celebrate with you, have fun, enjoy a good, great meal and everything. And at the end of the day, everybody's gone. Then the money's gone. But if you take or choose the money, then you can do a lot more with it. You can do those things that you've always wanted to do. You can spoil yourself. Oh, by the way, remember, the celebration, the party was a once-off. But if you use the money, you still hold on to those sneakers for 2 years, 1 year. You still have it. And looking back at it, I realized that I wasn't fair to my children. I imposed on them what mattered to me, not being able to celebrate. I was not one to celebrate. I remember when I graduated, cum laude, when I was in that hall, the entire School of Health Sciences, my distinction was the distinction. There wasn't one like that. When my name was called on stage, I didn't even hear it. I didn't want to go to that graduation. I was dragged, kicking and screaming, and I went. I just saw others in my class and others who knew me pointing at me, saying to me, Joanna, stand up, stand up. They called your name. And I just stood up. I didn't know what they said until later when others told me. Until later when I got that award from the Faculty of Health Sciences, being the best student. My husband had planned, a celebration with my family, my parents and my siblings who were there. And boy, I was done. Remember, I got the statement of results. I went to the graduation. I didn't need any more thing. I was done. I called off that celebration to say, you know what, guys, it's not necessary. But now, where did it come from? I might not have caught it knowingly from my grandmother, my great-grandmother. I might have caught it unknowingly. It came from a day, that I couldn't finish that A to Z. I was given another chance. I tried. I missed. Then, because I missed, I was told, you're going to sleep outside. And sleeping outside, when you grew up, you were told about a ghost, ugogwana, whatever it meant. When you did something, they will say, should I call ugogwana? Should I call ugogwana? So when you're outside, then you know you're going to be gogwana's food, you know? And for me, when I was out there, I was scared to death until I got another chance. And when I got another chance, I had to make sure I get a summa cum laude on the ABC. And boy, I nailed it. Little did I know it was gonna make a mark in my life. Little did I know. And ask me when I knew that the root and the source of me not being able to celebrate, it was only last year. In counseling, I learned that it was not normal. When my counselor asked me, who does well and not celebrate? Do you think it's normal? I said yes, defensive, because I've always defended it at home. Then she asked me, how often do I take leave from work? Then I realized that I only take leave in December, even when I'm sick. Sometimes I'm at work and during the day, I don't feel it. I feel it when I come back home. Why? Because you know what? My standard is very high. When I employ a locum, it's either they will be at my level or better than my level. So if I can't secure somebody like that, then it means I have to go to work myself. Now, for so many years, I couldn't put my finger on the source, on the root, until last year. And it was my aha moment. Then I am learning every day to teach myself that celebrating needs no reason. You just celebrate. I am learning to teach myself new patterns of behavior and breaking away from those. But you know what? Like I've said in the previous recordings, the mind may forget, but feelings remember the path. My feelings always default to the familiar. Ever since I learned in counseling, I struggled to celebrate. But I thank God that for the very first time last year, I was so excited on the 6th of December, my birthday. So excited that today it's my birthday. It used not to matter to me, my birthday, so what? On my birthday, oftentimes, I would be doing things for others, even if I don't go to work. I would volunteer that time to make somebody's life better, but I never gave it to me. But last year, even though I went to work, I came back and I surrendered myself to my family who celebrated me. And it was so much fun. And in learning, slowly but surely so, I'm learning to be present. I'm learning to enjoy celebrating in this way. For some reason, I've taken to music. I used to do gospel only. But now, from my sons, music, what they listen to, there are other songs that I'm picking up. I love Pharrell Williams' Happy, and boy, I dance the house down. I I am learning to celebrate each day. I'm learning to be like a child and just let go and not care what anybody thinks. I ask myself, hey, Jay, if there was no one to say something or anything about how you choose to celebrate yourself and what happens around you, how would you do it? Then I started enjoying church like never before. When I'm at church, I forget about other people and I just celebrate because I'm teaching myself that power of presence. Learning to celebrate. It doesn't start with a big party, I learned. It starts with learning to be comfortable with my achievements, learning to value my achievements, learning that my achievements matter, learning that my achievements are worth celebrating. I am grateful for the lessons that I'm learning each day. I am grateful for the path because I've learned this. The path, the new path that I'm carving from the old path. I've learned that, you know what? You will not learn until you identify and you give it a name and you play open cards with yourself. Joey, it's abnormal not to celebrate. Why do you choose not to celebrate? Why do you choose the abnormal when you can choose the normal? Recognizing it to say, hey, it's not cool. You're doing it, but it comes from your brokenness. It doesn't matter how much you choose to justify it or defend. Every time a spotlight, it's shown, you know, on it to say, hey, you need to celebrate. I'm learning not to defend it, but I'm learning to embrace it. And I thank God for the people in my life who always remind me, girl, celebrate. Girl, celebrate. However, when I say it's a daily struggle, it's a daily challenge. You need to identify, you need to recognize, you need to choose, you know, the new patterns and implement them. I did a postgraduate qualification 2 years ago. I completed it well. But then, breaking free from not going to attend the graduation to attending the graduation came back and hit me hard. Then I didn't tell the other people at home because I knew it was a battle I had to fight. If I tell them, they will remind me. Then I decided I was going to go to the graduation. Then business came. I had things to do. Then I forgot about it. Remember, it was done. It was secure. It was in the bag. Then I got a call from the program manager and facilitator asking me if I will be attending the graduation because they see I haven't RSVP'd. Then I told her, I'm not sure. Maybe. Then they said to me, even if you don't RSVP, you can just pop in. In that class, I was the only black. I think there was 17 or 18 learners. I was the only black in my group. And for that year, I was the only speech therapist there. Then I didn't go. Daily struggle. I thought, you know what? I needed to finish a report. I could put that time to better use than just going to attend a graduation. So what? That's why I'm saying these things will always rear. It will always rear its head. You have to make a choice. I am grateful. It might sound like a very small thing, but for me, it was a major step to allow my family to celebrate me on my birthday. Now I want to ask you, take your notebook. I want you to reflect, and when you reflect, I want you to write down, because until you identify, until you recognize, you won't be, and call it by name. Go back and identify the source and the root. What is it that you've made it not to matter when it matters? For you, it's not of importance, not because it's not of importance, but because something happened to you growing up, or in relationships, or in your marriage. You were minimized in your marriage. You were a dreamer, but for some reason, you stopped dreaming because your dreams didn't matter. Other people's dreams mattered. You prioritize other people's dreams than your own dreams, to a point where you believed your dreams don't matter. Let me tell you, they do. It's time to rise, but you have to choose to rise. You have to choose to confront yourself before you confront other people. I grew up with serious fears. I couldn't be in the house alone. It was so uncomfortable. From that experience, when I was 4 years old, I started school at 4. From that experience, I lived with serious fears. But now I had to recognize the fact that I struggle with fear. Yes, I dealt with it, but my breakthrough came last year. It came from the scripture. When I began to apply it, it became functional. That God has not given me a spirit of fear. I realized that the fear that I had was a spirit of fear. I came back from work and I asked my husband, you know what? I have a spirit of fear and I know where it comes from. When I fluked on my ABCs and I was sent outside, I was scared to death, like I told you. As if it wasn't enough, there was a double whammy for me. My dad decided, to come from the other direction. He used the back door. Then he came through the gate and we had these beautiful dogs. When the dogs started, barking, I looked around and there by the gate, he was covered in a white sheet. The little girl saw a ghost. I froze. I was silent, hiding under the car. And he knew me well to know where I was hiding. And he slowly walked towards the car, approaching the car. There were 2 cars in the yard, but he knew where I would be hiding. When he realized that I was scared to death, my heart almost stopped. That's when he said, "It's me. Don't fear, it's me. You can come out now." Then we went into the house. That's when I knew, at that point, I knew that, failure was not an option. I had to do these ABCs well, and boy, I nailed them. But then that defined things in my life that I wouldn't identify, because that for me was a once-off. It was an incident. I had forgotten about it. My mind had completely forgotten about that incident, but the feelings kept going back and I couldn't link the feeling to the thought. It was gone. It was not even a memory anymore. It was only last year when I was talking about something, and I was on stage talking about something, when the Holy Spirit lifted that veil, and I remembered that incident, and I could make an association with it. That's when I knew where my source of not celebrating and where my fears came from. That mental image came back, and I said to him, please pray with me. I need to break the spirit of fear. I used not to watch movies where there's shooting or this. I would close my eyes. I couldn't even look at a snake. I would close my eyes. Every time they flipped through channels, I know there will be National Geographic, and for some reason they like snakes. Then I would look away until they were on that channel. But it came from things that happened. I had to identify. I had to recognize, to say, you know what? There is a path, there is a pattern, and I needed to break the pattern. I needed to break the cycle. I needed to go and clean up so that I heal that pathology in my pattern. What is it for you? I told you, I don't just tell stories. I tell stories with an intention of helping you. I am vulnerable with you because I love you so much. I want you to transcend in your own life. I want you to think deeply. You're welcome to watch it over and over as you make your notes. But remember, like I said, it's a daily journey. It's a daily journey. And embrace the fact that it's challenges that are there daily. You learn, unlearn, and relearn daily. I'm on my own journey, and so are you. Daily, I have to face up. Daily, I have to remind myself to love. Daily, I have to remind myself to celebrate little things that happen on a daily basis, because it's from little things where I will learn to celebrate bigger things. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.